last week on Legally Kidnapped.
Good evening. In Texas this week, they're working on a proposal to keep foster kids closer to home. A new study blames the Texas judicial system for children bouncing around the foster care system for years without finding permanent homes. And due to high racial disparities in the Texas foster care system, casa puppets are trying to get more blacks and Latinos to join in their little scam. In Rhode Island this week, shelters that were set to close get their contracts extended for a couple of weeks because the kids have no place else to go. And workers in Arkansas get away with returning Christmas gifts that were donated for foster children when police refused to charge them with any crime. In Utah, foster care placements are up 38% over the last decade, and a 13-year-old from Salt Lake City runs away from a foster home. Connecticut keeps sending foster kids out of state for psychiatric treatment, and Connecticut's new ex-judge DCF boss wants to cut bureaucracy and make it easier for relatives to care for children in an effort to end 20 years of federal court oversight. The U.S. government denies Maryland's Department of Human Resources $10 million in foster care reimbursements for not proving that the kids in pre-placement homes are actually in danger. Florida's new governor is against gay adoption. Nevada gets a D- in child welfare. Kentucky lawmakers debate drug testing welfare recipients. Workers in New York are up in arms over soaring caseloads. And House Republicans want to stop legal aid to the poor. The Russian government investigates another case of child abuse regarding an adopted child in Alaska. In Ireland, social workers are worried about shortages of staff and growing caseloads. The UN releases its full report on children's rights in New Zealand, and police in Mexico dress up as clowns and try to convince kids not to get involved in crime. In Australia this week, child abuse rates are down, but the number of children in foster care has risen by 60%, and legal experts are up in arms over surrogacy laws that they say will lead to parents lying to authorities about their children's births. In Canada this week, a public fatality inquiry into the death of Samantha Martin begins. Inexperienced social workers and inadequate supervision continue to plague British Columbia's child welfare system, and a new feminist shelter for Aboriginal women opens up in Vancouver. In England this week, divorced dads who are falsely accused of domestic violence and child abuse during custody hearings demand changes in the law. A psychotic asylum seeker from Afghanistan lies about his age, claiming that he's only a kid, then has to be forcefully removed from a foster home by police when they finally figured it out. And a lack of services is forcing parents of disabled children to put them into foster care for the help they need. In entertainment news this week, the Octomom makes a fetish video of her in a tight little outfit whipping a full-grown man dressed up as a baby. Halle Berry's baby's daddy files for child support in joint custody, and Bristol Palin changes Little Trip's last name from Johnson to Palin and relocates to Arizona. In Washington this week, a group of foster parents sues the child protective industry for more money. A foster kid from San Francisco is about to get $4 million in a settlement where his twin sister died from abuse in a foster home. Children's rights asked the court to proceed with a lawsuit against the child protective industry in Rhode Island, and a family from Idaho sues the child protective industry after their kid dies in a foster home. In this week's Foster Crimes Report, a former foster molester of the year from Alberta, Canada, has more charges laid against him as another kid comes forward. A Utah woman who killed her adopted child by water intoxication is begging to get out of prison to go back to her family. A cop from Texas gets busted for sexually abusing his adopted daughters. A judge from Oklahoma gets busted for collecting foster care payments for kids that weren't in her care. An Oklahoma City police officer gets arrested for having sex with one of his foster kids. Then the other kids in the home said that their foster brother made it all up. Then the kids run away from their Department of Human Services shelter where they were keeping them. And two foster parents from Connecticut get arrested in a shaken baby case. In Philadelphia, workers who failed a baby who starved to death get fired. A mother from Florida who was scammed into a roach-infested apartment which her landlord won't deal with worries that DCF will snatch her kids due to unsanitary conditions. And finally, tonight, homeschooling Christian parents from New Jersey are told that they can't pray for reunification with their children, then get slammed with a gag order so that they can't talk about it. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.